Hey there guys, this is Chris from Hometown Collective. In this video I want to talk about our SVG cut files that you get from us in our cut file packs. We do include other file types including the DXF file type, but in this video we're just going to talk about our SVG cut files. And I just wanted to give you a little peek behind the scenes without having to purchase from us so that you can see what our files look like and what you can do with them. We get asked pretty regularly, can I change the colors? Can I change the size of pieces? And how easy is it to use? Do you guys group by color? And just to answer those questions in this video, yes, to all of those questions. We make two variations, an easy to use and one that allows for most editing. Okay, so let me just jump right in and talk about the one that allows the most editing, and then at the end of the video I'll talk about the easier to use option. So what is open in front of you? Well, our Mermaid Squad design is open up in Cricut Design Space, and this is the one that allows for the most editing. It has open layers, and by that I mean every piece is on its own layer, which will allow for you to edit each piece on its own without having to affect anything else in the composition. But note that when you first open it up, whether you get this version or the easier to use version, they're going to be locked in place together. And in order to ungroup everything, you just have to click the ungroup tab. And now everything will be separated out and you can move it on its own. Okay, so let me just walk through some things and change and tweak stuff on screen, and this will give you an idea for what you actually can do with our files. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to get rid of these stars up here because I think I'm going to make Mermaid a little bigger. So I'm going to click on the Mermaid, I'm going to scale it. That's about good. Okay, and I'm just going to move it and position it where I want it, and I think I'm going to get rid of this blue and get a darker blue. Okay, and in fact I think I'm going to change the tail as well, and I'm going to make it two colors. It's just one color now, but I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm actually going to use my contour tool down at the bottom right here, and I'm going to use it to get rid of the background color, and it will actually by default then turn that negative space into a fill color. And I'm going to make this red, and then I'm going to get rid of the negative space here and fill it in on the blue tail by using my contour tool at the bottom again. But this time, instead of getting rid of the tail, I'm actually going to get rid of everything, all of the contours, so that it will fill everything in. I'm going to change this to the gold color, and I like what I have here. I'm going to throw the red over top, try to center it as best I can, and then I'm going to take and turn these stars on the edges here to red, just to pull in that red color so it's not the only red on screen. Okay, and then the last thing is I'm going to change these bubbles to that darker blue. Now if I tried to click the bubbles here, they're going to actually select the tail pieces because the tail, the red piece, is on the very top layer. And because it actually, if you see the square, the highlight section, it's actually that whole chunk on screen is going to be considered this red tail piece. So I can't click the bubbles there unless I send the tail to the back or I use my layer panel. So that's what I'll do. I know that I want to turn all of these blue bubbles to the darker blue, so it'll be pretty easy to find in the layers panel. Everything that's blue colored, I'm just going to change to the darker blue. Okay, and I think I got two more to do, so I'm going to scroll down and I'm good there. Okay, so now I have it changed up as much as I want to change it up. Now the downfall with it is, and here's the major whammy, is nothing is going to be locked in place when you send it to your cutter. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to send it over to my cutter, and nothing is going to be where I want it to be. So notice the tail and the stars are not positioned where they should be. In fact, by default, your Cricut is going to want to try to save paper, I believe, and position things by size. So it's usually largest pieces on the left, smallest on the right. So again, the largest chunk is mermaid, and then the bubbles get smaller as they go right. And same thing here, large chunk, and then small and large chunk. So nothing is locked into place. But let me very quickly show you how you can lock everything into place so that you can send it to your cutter and be able to lay things out quickly and easily. All right, so the way I like to do it is, and I know there's different ways to do it, but my way is to use the layer panel and weld pieces together, because that's going to condense pieces into one layer. And the less layers I have, the easier it is to see what my final project is going to end up looking like before I have to send it to my cutter. So let me explain. So come over to your layer panel and hold down Shift. I'm using a PC, so I have the Shift option. So I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard, and I'm just going to click while holding down the Shift all of the red pieces in the layers panel. And you'll see that they turn a darker shade of gray. And you can hit attach for this to work, but I like weld, as I said, because I want to get rid of the layers. So I'm going to click weld, and now all of those 3 layers have been condensed into one layer. And I'm going to do the same thing to the gold, holding down Shift, clicking all of the gold pieces. So I need to scroll through to find them. Okay, so that's about 5 layers there that I'm going to hit weld, and they'll be condensed to the gold single layer. And as you can see, the red has disappeared, and the only reason that happened is whenever you weld colors together or layers together, it's going to throw them all up on the very top layer. So the red pieces are still there, they're just hidden underneath that layer. I don't have to change it. When I send it to my cutter, it'll be good, but I like to see it on screen, so I'm going to right click on the gold and select move to back. And what that did was it sent the gold layer all the way to the bottom, and now the red is on top, so I can see it. The one last step that I'm going to do here is hold down Shift and select all of the dark blue colors, and I believe that's all of them. I'm going to hit weld, and now as you can see, the blue is on the very top, but since it's not on top of anything, it's not going to hide anything there. Now let's say that now that you've simplified it, you want to tweak some of the colors. And that's the way I like to work. Maybe I don't have this color red vinyl with me, and I'm going to heat press this. And so what I want to do is try to match that color as best I can. So it makes it simple. Now I can change all the colors at the same time and get to see what that final look is like. So my red is much darker, and I want to see what that's going to look like. So I changed it to that darker color. Okay, that still looks good. And my blue that I have is actually a much lighter blue. So I want to get something that's closer to the more realistic look that I'm going to get. There we go. That's like what my blue is. Okay, and that still looks good. If I decided, hey, you know, I think the dark red just doesn't look all that good with the gold, what else do I have? You know what? Well, I have some gray vinyl. Let me try to see what the gray is going to look like. You know what? I think I like that red a little bit better. So I'm just going to go with that. All right. So enough of me wasting your time. Let me just show you what I did now. So by condensing everything and welding it together just like I showed you, you're going to be able to send this over to your cutter, and everything's going to be locked in place where it should be. The stars and the tails are where they're supposed to be. Squad is in place, and mermaid is in place with all of the bubbles locked in. Okay, so that was the process, just welding things together after you've done your editing, and it's going to be a simple, smooth, easy cutting process. You'll be able to lay your things out, line them up, heat press them, and be done. All right, so that was the max editing version. Let me show you the easier version. So I just pulled up the second version of our SVG cut files. It's the same design, but note that it only has 2 layers instead of all of the additional layers there. And the reason is we've grouped it by color so that you don't have to do that final weld process. If you don't want to waste your time with that, you like the design as is, you can just send this thing straight to your cutter and it's good to go. But let's say you want to keep it simple but still be able to change a couple colors. You can. As I stated before, it's going to come locked together no matter what version you have. The layers will all be pieced together initially, so that all you have to do is ungroup it, and now those two layers will be separated out. But again, note, it's just those two layers. I can tweak the size of everything on one layer, or I can change the color of everything on one layer. But that's really the only option that I have available to me. So I can change all of the top layer, and I can change all of the bottom layer, but that's it. That's the editing capabilities. Now, we think it gives you enough of a tweak and a change for it to still be worthwhile for us to group it in this way, and also it gives those of you who just want to save time, right? That's why you're buying the files from us. You don't want to take the time to make the composition yourself. This is perfect for that, and I can just send it straight over to my cutter and everything's locked in place and good to go. Alright, so that is the end of the video. Hopefully you were able to see what's available to you without actually having to purchase from us. And no matter what your skill level is, whether you are the old pro or you just bought your cutter today, you now know what you can and can't do, and hopefully we have an option or a variation that will work for you and meet your needs. So again, thank you for stopping in and checking out our shop. This was Chris from Hometown Collective. Take care.